Hello, hello. It is Tuesday night, and that means that it is couch conversation time with the People's Pride Project. Y'all know me already. We ain't gonna front. I'm Madam Facilitator, the lady in charge that makes it easy for everybody else. And tonight, my guest, my friend, Miss Elease Wiggins, author,
Hello.
educator, PhD in the making. What else we talk? Or teacher. What else do we have? There's, I hate doing titles because I roll with people that have multiple titles.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you're here with me today, and we
So,
could talk about growing through it, thriving through it, surviving through it, all that good stuff. I know I keep cutting you off. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to talk to you, to chat, to chop it up. It's been almost over a year since we had this kind of conversation because, we have these conversations.
Damn COVID. But
Right.
we're
Right.
so, Madame, where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about the books? Do you want to talk your courses? Because you got it going. And let me start first. I am so
Yeah.
proud of everything that you're doing. I just want you to
Thank
know
you.
that I haven't
Thank
gotten
you.
to do that. So yeah, do big things. I'm proud of you.
So, where do I want to start? I want to start to talk about people. So this is something that's just reoccurring as of like the last, because I've been traveling and meeting different people. And I had a particular conversation with a client last week. So I'm a coach.
Mhm.
And she said to me, she felt worthless. She didn't feel like her life had meaning and purpose and value. And she really didn't know why she was still here. And as I'm listening to her, she's so talented, she's so bright. But if you're trying to keep up with the world, you're always going to feel like you're not enough. You don't have.
Mhm.
So I had that conversation with her. And then I met like two or three other people who were saying the same thing in different ways. So, what I would like to start talking about is being inwardly directed as opposed to being outwardly directed. And I believe that that's one of the things that's helped me grow so much, is because a lot of decisions I make is based on how I feel internally, not what the situation is, not what other people around me are saying. This is what you should do, not even what's always popular. So a lot of
Mhm.
times when I speak to people who know me like for forever, they'll say, "Oh, that sounds crazy," or "You're weird." I would like to think of it as me being inwardly directing, not always following what the crowd is doing. Like this whole,
Mhm.
like social media, everything is follow, follow, follow. But who exactly are you following and where are they taking you to?
That part.
So
That
that's how I want to start it off.
because looking at social media, and that's a really good point that you bring up, because my stance, as you know, is authenticity, autonomy, and community. And if you're
Mhm.
looking at social media, everybody's the same. Everybody's looking the same. Everybody's doing the same makeup. Everybody's selling the same products. It's like, where is this idea that it's okay, or not even just okay, but necessary to not go with the crowd, to stand on your own 2 feet and be who you are and work from that angle? Because we're so much more powerful when we work off of our own juju instead of following what everybody else is doing, because they, the mysterious they that somehow runs the world, says
Mhm.
right. So I'm
Right.
completely with you on where you're going with that.
So right now I'm taking a class, a social psychology course, and this is like week 2 because it's the summer, and we've been reading like 8 articles already in the second week. You know how that
Mhm.
is. And I was reading an article this morning, and it was by famous social psychologist William James, and he was talking about people have 3 different, like how they determine their identity is based on 3 different things. The first thing is how other people say they are. So if you say that I'm a nice person, then I think that I'm a nice person because you think that I'm a nice person. The
Mhm.
second thing is the behavior. So if my behavior continues on the same pattern, then this obviously is who I am. So if I've been teaching and counseling in educational institutions for the past 10 years, 9 times out of 10, I'm either an educator or a counselor, right? Ding, ding,
Mhm.
ding, ding. Okay. And then the third is when we look at ourselves in comparison and or in relationship to someone. And I think that's what's been happening and or dominating as of late is we're constantly looking at the next person like, okay,
Mhm.
well, if this person has this and I need to have that in order for me to feel.
Mhm.
And something that I didn't realize is I was always, oh, I still am a very goal orientated person. So I'm like, okay, well, when this happens, this. And what I didn't realize, a lot of times I was achieving my goals and I was getting things done and I still wasn't happy. And
Mhm.
that's when I had to learn to enjoy the way, enjoy the failures, enjoy the times that I didn't always get things right, enjoy the times where I looked stupid, where I made a fool of myself. I heard someone said, you haven't lived long enough if you didn't contradict yourself at least once. So you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fail. Keep going. Don't compare or measure yourself for someone else. Like it all has to be about what's good for you.
Right. And that for me is a big thing because I think we lose the idea that life is about customization. Like, not everything that works for you is going to work for me. Even if we're trying to reach the same goal, how we're going to get there is going to be completely different based on who I am versus who you are. And this idea that we have to be constantly comparing ourselves to other people, well, so and so got there by X age, so I should look like that's hindering more than, or the whole, oh, so and so is body goals or relationship goals, or the only goal you should have is you. Like, once you start looking to other people, you're already losing, because then it becomes a self-esteem, self-conscious comparison that puts up a
Mhm.
block for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I remember one time I had a best friend and he was like this like chef, like he can cook really, really good. Always worked in these like really high end restaurants everywhere. And I don't know where we went. Someone said, well, you can't cook like him. And I said, no. And it's like, well, what do you do or something? And I thought about it. I said, what if I tried to compare myself to him? Like, oh my gosh, I can't cook the way he cooks, so I'm an absolute positive failure. No. Another thing too is people got to grow up with
Mhm.
the whole like being bitter and being petty and I'm going to get you back. Get yourself back. So one of the major goals that I have is like when I'm hurt and when I'm big hurt, and then we'll lead into the book. But when I'm big hurt, I do amazing things because
That part.
I transmute that pain, I
Mhm.
transmute the frustration. I'm even at the point now where I will even allow you to play me. So if we doing something and I peep that you trying to play me, and I'm like, all right, let's see how far you going to take it. And then you actually do it and you felt like you won. You really lost because I'm always going to win because I have a very good heart. So I'm always doing and giving. And I've learned just because I give certain people, those are the people that's not going to give back into me. So once you take your time away from comparing, being jealous, being bitter and mad and trying to get people back, you can actually, somebody's calling me, I'm ignoring it. You can actually get some things accomplished.
Mhm. One of my favorite quotes is from what's the name of the show? Damn it, it's one of my favorite shows and I can't think of the name. But the character's name is Mr. Nancy.
Hmm.
And he said, angry gets shit done. And it does. It really does. And we act like these emotions we shouldn't have. But sometimes that's the fire you need. Like this weekend, I was talking to somebody about doing a TED talk, and he was like, "Oh, I need you to do this and to and I was kind of pissed off. I'm like, this is not who I am. Like, you want me to give myself this title and make a website and do it? That's not what I do. But in my annoyance, I was like, you know what? I got something to say. So let me write this shit out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Into this whole other
It
situation.
motivated you.
Hmm.
See, that's another thing. So, another class I was taking is about cognitive, affect, memory, and how emotions not just only affect our decisions, but even the way our brain works. So, my daughter called me this weekend, and she was having a problem at a store, And she told me the problem. And before she finished, she said, "Tell me what the old you would do, not the new you."
Ooh,
What does that mean? That means that there was a time where I would pop off. There was a time where I wanted to get you back. You gonna hear what the F I gotta say. I'm not now it's like, okay, that same energy I could use to write a book. That same energy I could be using to prepare for a client. I could be putting things into the right space. And I think a lot of times the reason that people don't do that is because they don't have the right people around them. So let's talk about two things that I think that's really important. Mentorship.
mm,
Need mentors. I would not be the Elease A. Wiggins that you know and all the titles that I have if I did not have mentors. I've always had mentors, and right now I probably have at least three. And these are all, and this is just for me personally, but they're all older people that I can actually be their child.
right.
Right? So they see me as a friend, but they also see me as, oh, I wouldn't want my child to do that. So let me tell Elise this. And a lot of times they tell me things I don't want to hear. A lot of times they do cross the boundaries and they'll say stuff that may be slightly borderline inappropriate, but I was about to make a decision that went totally against the goals that I set for myself. And they have no problem with telling me. And I might be mad at them, want to curse them out. But ultimately, I know that they're right and they're telling me something with the right intentions. So you need people who are going to tell you the shit that you don't want to hear, but they have the right intentions behind it. So anybody that's listening to this, I'm strongly suggesting get a mentor. Another thing, accountability partner. You need people around you that's going to be like, look, we could chill right now in Miami for the weekend, but then we got to get back because we got work to do. Not like, oh,
Right?
we're going to chill. And no, 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 no. You need turn up, right? You need people that you could turn up with, but you also need people that's going to say, listen, you effing up. You got to
Yes.
get your shit together. And you can't be so ego driven where you think that you can't be checked. Who gonna check me, boo? Somebody can check you. Because if you're uncheckable, then you don't need to be here anymore. Only God is perfect.
That part.
So let me tell you about the first book, I guess, right? Which is
Please.
really the second book, and we'll talk about that. So the first book I wrote, Farewell to Welfare, I wrote it as a result of a heartbreak of being deeply in love, having all of this love. And I just found this meme on Instagram. You know, Instagram got a meme about everything.
Hmm.
And this lady was saying she was like 80 something years old and her husband died. He was dying. And right before he died, she asked him, what am I going to do with all of this love that I have for you once you're gone? And he said, give it away. So because I loved the man that I was with for so long, so much, and the relationship was over, I poured all of that into the book, which then became another book, which became a course, which became so many different things. But it was initially from a heartbreak. And and when you're going through heartbreak, let's not talk about like at the same time the economy is bad, this is happening, rent raising. So you just don't have personal problems. You also have public problems. Now it's other stuff going on. So with all of that together, it just exacerbated my situation and I had anxiety and depression, never diagnosed. But now that I'm in the field, I know the signs. Like I was sleeping all the time. I wasn't motivated. I wanted to kind of stay around people who were the same way. Why would I want to be around healthy people if I was sick? Because then
True.
I would know I was sick, but I won't know I'm sick if I'm around sick people. So that was, and that goes back to what my daughter said, the old me. So that pain and that hurt, I had to put it somewhere. And now when I look back at it, I'm not even that same person anymore. So I strongly suggest if there's some type of heartbreak, depression, he didn't call you back, he ghosted you, transform the energy, turn it into some creativity.
That's something I was writing today. I was like, all birth or creativity comes from labor. Like it doesn't just pop up. There has to be some work, and it doesn't have to be painful. Although most oftentimes it's the pain that really gets us moving.
Hmm, hmm.
It all requires that sort of birth requires labor. And it seems like we're in this space where we want to just, wiggle our noses and manifest everything. But negate the fact that the work has to be done. And I really do want you to get more into the first book because I don't know. There was some gems in there. There were some gems.
So let's talk about the first book. So the first book was actually three different parts, and it was three different books, and
Mm-hmm.
it all just became one as a result. One, I
Mm-hmm.
was writing strategies to help college students who were homeless, public assistants, parents, whatever. I was teaching with CUNY, and after class, a lot of students would come up to me after class. They was on welfare. They were sleeping in the bathroom of the college, all
Mm-hmm.
types of stuff. And I was the type of person to advocate. So as a professor, I'm advocating. So mind you, I teach a class, but now I'm going to the administration. The students need this, the students need that. Well, who the hell are you?
Right.
And then eventually I advocated so much that I fell into the same situation, but we'll get back to that in a second. The
Mm-hmm.
second part of the book was actually research I was doing. I was in a doctorate program then at St. John's University. I was actually studying to become a superintendent. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even like children. Like my two are okay, but now I got to be responsible for other people's children.
Right.
The data and the statistics came from my research, from my studies. I didn't finish that degree, right? And the last part was actually my journaling.
Mm-hmm.
So when when I go back and I read my journal from now almost 10 years ago, I'm like, damn, you was stupid. Damn, you was a simp. You was a dummy. I can say that about me now, but at the time, those were my real feelings. That's
Right.
what I was really going through. So, long story short, I just combined all three of them, and it became a farewell to welfare because my journaling wasn't a part of the book. I spoke to an editor at Essence magazine, and she said, "Well, if you don't add your own story, there's no emotion to it. No one is going to care." So my story was added last. Now, what's the gems I'm dropping? A lot of it is stuff that I learned from who? Mentors, my grandmothers, people who, like I said, saw me going the wrong way and just wanted to tap me on my shoulder, say, "Hey, you need to be going this way. You need to be doing that." One of the things that I talk about strongly in a farewell to welfare is turn your failures into a teacher, not a torturer.
Mm-hmm.
I do not accept failure. If I fail right now, like I never forget, I saw Naomi Campbell. She was wearing some shoes. She was walking down the wrong way. She fell. That is supposed to be humiliating. She said that other designers contacted her and said, "Could you fall in our clothes too?" This was
That,
she turned failure into something, and this is what I say all the time. Just because you didn't get it right this time, it may be a little twitch, something that you need to fix.
Mhm.
Dust your shoes, knees, whatever, ego, pride, keep going. That's another thing the young lady said to me last week. She said, "I'm afraid to fail." I said, "You're already failing because you didn't start."
That's an automatic. If you never give it a shot, you already lost. Like there's no other option. So
And another thing I'm also talking about in a farewell to welfare, where I just updated it too. So I initially released it in 2015, and I re-released it. You know what? No offense, but the pandemic wasn't all bad.
I
God
see the same.
forbid, the people who lost their lives and they were sad and they lost their family members. I really used this time to do some Elease work. So work that I was supposed to do
Mhm.
for years, I was able to get done in 6 months because we were quarantined. So I updated the book. I added a glossary to it and I expanded it based on information that I know now. And I'm using the book actually in GED programs, ESL, and college level introductory women's study courses and economics. Now, here's the next thing I'm saying. I'm speaking heavily about my faith. There's no denying that I am a believer of God. I believe in Jesus. I mean, if somebody else doesn't want to, that's their business. I'm not forcing it on you. But one of the things that I'm talking about really strongly is being inwardly directed. And in the book, I'm calling it follow your intuition and or the Holy Spirit. And it's to the point now where I have a relationship with God, and I'll tell anybody this. It has nothing to do with my academics because As smart as I am, I'm still so stupid about so many different things. Like I would never pretend like I'm the smartest person in the world. And it's the relationship that's carried me through. And it's the relationship. Like right now, I'm doing an interview with you. It starts raining. I stop. We get out at a brand new hotel. And I'm sitting in the lobby of a hotel talking to you, right? And it's just the most amazing thing happening. Why? Because I listened. And now it's a rain shot. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I have to strongly, one of the gems I would definitely say, if you don't believe that we have a creator, go inwardly and have the relationship. It's all about having a relationship.
There's whatever you call it, whatever you believe in, there's a something. Tap
Yes,
into that something.
yes.
Because a lot of people bristle at the idea of church, bristle
Mhm.
at the idea of organized religion, and that's cool. Everything, everybody has their own way of expressing or understanding what is. But there's a something that you have to tap into, whatever you want to call it, in order to
Yeah.
really get.
It's
Hmm?
two things I want to say because something we touched on earlier. We touched on anger. I'm gonna get back to that. But before the pandemic, I didn't like to go to church because don't if you don't see me in 2 Sundays, oh my God, is everything okay? We ain't seen you in a month. Just because I don't come to church don't mean I'm, my life
Right.
is falling apart and I'm this big sinner. So I can say prior to the pandemic, I was not every Sunday. I didn't attend church every Sunday. That's one. Two, when it comes to religion, I understand that religion is man-made. So I
Yes.
don't do religion. I don't do this on the first Sunday and then do this 2 Sunday. And then right before this holiday, I'm perfect. And then right after that, I'm going back to being ratchet. No, again, not about any of that because everything is different for everyone. I'm saying honestly, go within. It would cure so much anxiety, so much depression if you really took the chance to just listen. Something else, I remember when I was working in Bergen County, and I would say to the clients, tell me about yourself, and they couldn't tell me anything about themselves. They could tell me everything about everybody next to them, but they couldn't tell me about themselves. And it's because people don't take the time to do introspection. Sit down, cut the music off, cut off social media, cut your phone off, get away from everybody. Do not be afraid of your thoughts,
Mm,
right? And if you don't like what your thoughts are thinking, change them,
pretty much.
right? Because that thought is not you, it's a thought. So I am thinking this, not I am this. I am thinking this, right? Jumping back, when you were talking about the anger, think about Jesus in the temple. That's what made them want to kill him when he went in there and he flipped over all of their money. Now, he had to be a bold son of a motherfucker to go in there
Okay.
and change over their money. You play with people money, that's a death wish right there. So I think about how when you're angry, don't get angry and break his windows. Don't get angry and get a phony text, a number, and text him and a
Mhm.
girl from another number, create a fake Instagram, Snapchat account, follow them. Put the energy into improving yourself.
I was actually I was having that conversation with my niece today. Like so many people, now that we're all spiritual and we're all gurus and we're all life coaches, over the last couple months, it's always about the outside. And it's like, no, the more you're pushing to the outside, the less internal fortitude, the less real connection, the less real power that you have. When you're like, oh, I'm doing this for that, or I'm going to get this. No, 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 babe. This,
Yes. Yeah.
this is
So
what matters.
let me say this. So, like I said, I've been traveling and I'm seeing everybody with these bodies and all of this made up, botched up stuff. You know what? When I see it, I'm like, wow. Because I have to think to myself, like, imagine half the time the guys just be interested in that for one reason only. And then it's something different. So you have to make sure that every decision you make, every time you make an alteration to your body, that's already perfect. I don't care if you have stretch marks, I don't care if you got a little fat, I don't care if you're too skinny. Your body was designed perfectly for you. right?
Yep.
So if you're trying to make all of these outward alterations and you're changing this and you're changing that, but you're not proving your heart condition, if you're not healing what happened to you when you were 6 years old, if you're still trying to hide that underneath of a blanket, you can be as beautiful as you want to be, but you're still going to be ugly on the inside. And it's going to
Mhm.
show in your
And,
behavior,
and it's
in your
going to jump out
habits.
when you least expect
Right.
it
No
too.
matter how gorgeous you are,
Mhm.
fix that hurt, boo.
It's on the inside, love. But going back to the book, and you did a beautiful job of really journeying the transition from when it, not just from the heartbreak to the act of healing, because the healing never really ends. It's just
Mm-mm,
steps
mm-mm,
and stages and pieces of it. But it was more so how you started to turn the corner from just trying to get by, just trying to,
mm-hmm,
just trying to survive, make sure the kids were fed, just the day-to-day stuff that a lot of us get caught in. Is that we can't even dream because our heads are down just trying to get through the next moment. So if
mm-hmm.
you could, I'd really like you to kind of delve into that, because there's a lot of people that really sort of need that idea, how to turn that corner, how to pick your head up and look around you instead of just, you know what I mean?
I think one of the most important things for me is I always had a vision. And it's the scripture that says, the people without a vision, they perish. So imagine that when you go to sleep at night, you have a dream and you see yourself living this certain way. But then when you wake up, you living your basic, raggedy, ratchet life.
Hmm.
Elise told Elise the reality was a lie and the dream was real, but I had to make it real. So what I had to constantly do is, regardless of what my life looked like, I had to constantly speak shit that wasn't even real. So I was saying I'm a successful author, I'm a college professor, I'm a most sought out speaker, and I was on welfare. I wasn't none of these things when I first started saying it, and this was back in 2014. And I released the book in 2015. And after I released the book in 2015 is when everything took off. Why? Because I kept saying, this is not my life. This is not real. And I think a lot of times we accept it. I heard a quote from Steve Harvey that said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Why stay there? And I kept telling myself, this is beneath me. It was like a feeling on the inside of me that kept saying, this ain't who you are. You messing with a dude and you just doing it because, he's comforting at the time. But inside of you, you like, this ain't what it really is. I don't care how good the sex is. I don't care how much money he spend on you. You know you're not supposed to be messing with whoever it is that you're messing with. And you
Hmm.
feel it internally. But you're like, no, that's not, no, because you're rationalizing, like, no, I need to do this, I need to do that. So one of the biggest things is I kept my vision, even when I was stressed out, even when I was effed up. Like last week I was sad. And I was saying some really crazy shit to myself, right? And then I had to boss up like, yo, you Elease A fucking Wiggins. Like I had to put on some little ratchet music, had to go, little Brooklyn on them real quick, right? But the point is, it's been instilled in me. So parents who are watching this, start instilling that in your children. Don't just tell them, oh, you're beautiful. That's all outside stuff. Start talking
Hmm.
about things about their personalities, that, wow, you're amazing. I like the way you solved that problem. You're this. Speak to their character and speak to their future. And even if they're not making the right decisions right now, start speaking that they will. So I think that that's something with me, is I had a strong family foundation. Like when I'm like right now, I'm around a lot of people from different cultures, and I hear all the time like, oh yeah, because I never felt like I was being attacked or I was less than because I was a black person. Because in my house, I was raised, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. So when I walk out the house, I think something wrong with everybody else who don't look like me. I don't think I'm the problem, right? Because my foundation was set. So vision, foundation, and just consistency. All right, I effed up. Keep going. I'm not perfect. I made a mistake. Keep going. Damn, that didn't work out the way I wanted to. Keep going. No, no, no. I really love this guy, but I know he might not be. Got to leave him alone. Keep going. So I guess that would, to sum it up, keep going.
What was the name of the book? Fuck it, let's go.
Right, exactly.
It's
So,
like at some point, it's just like fuck it, just let's go. Like,
but let's talk about fuck it, let's go, because look, A Farewell to Welfare was my second book. Remember,
mhm,
that wasn't even a book. It was just three different pieces that I put together. My first book was the book that I just put out, which is The Painted Mirage. I was
mhm,
actually writing a fictional story because I guess maybe I was so stressed out. I was just creating these characters. Like I had this ideas in my head and I had to get it out. The reason why A Farewell to Welfare was released first is because it was needed. This is when the whole everything is happening politically. So it's like, okay, wait, you got to put this book out now. That other book is not important.
mhm,
Now, not to say that The Painted Mirage is not important. It's a realistic fiction, but it's about the city girl shit that we're talking about now. It's about these young girls that's out here
mhm.
that have a future, that want to do something, but in the meantime, you getting caught up with fuck boys. So what are you doing? You jeopardizing your fun for your future? So that book is when I talk about The Painted Mirage, I'm talking about a beautiful illusion. It's about a
Mhm.
girl who's living a beautiful illusion, but she doesn't know it because she at the time she's experiencing anxiety, depression, and she's trying to keep up in a world that she's not even supposed to fit in. She's supposed to be taking over, but she doesn't know it.
Okay, can we talk about that real quick?
Let
Can
me see let me see how much time I have left.
girl, can we talk about the fact that so many times we are forcing ourselves into these situations, into these positions, into these relationships, into these worlds, knowing good and well that's not what we're supposed to be. But it just feels so good to be there that we're just like, the
So
hell with
So here's in my opinion why I think that happens. Attachment. So we can pretend like we don't love, oh, I don't love him or I don't love her. I just fucked her. I just got some money or whatever the goal is. As human beings, our natural instinct is to be loved. That's number one. And from the time that you're a child to whatever age you are now, if you haven't experienced genuine love, you will 9 times out of 10 look at life in a negative way. So we grow up and we become adults. We grow up and become women who are really broken little girls, and we grow up and become men who are really broken little boys. And since we were hurt by everyone, we want to hurt everyone. And what happens is every now and again, when we become vulnerable, we might reach out to that person who makes us feel special, but it's only temporary.
Mhm.
And it's because we don't have this sense of security, because that's what love brings. Love brings security and attachment figures. And it's a whole bunch of theories on attachment. So that's the reason why a lot of people stay in bad relationships, because they're attached to something that feels good, but it doesn't nurture them for the long run. So you're in a relationship and you don't want to let him go, even though you all of the signs are all there. You don't need any more signs. But then if you let him go, then you're gonna be lonely with those thoughts again. Who wants to be lonely? Fuck it. I know the relationship ain't right, but at least I got somebody.
Right.
At least I'm getting good.
Whatever. Yeah. And it even goes back to what you were saying before about being able to really sit with yourself. And so many of us are afraid of the mirror. Like you're really afraid to see who or what you really are. Not what society tells you to be, not what your parents raised you to be, but who are you really? And I think a lot of people really find that scary. So we
Hmm.
sit in these situations where if we would really just boss up and face ourselves, we know good and well there's no reason to be there and we wouldn't be there.
So you know what? I think that it's all right. So where everything is always green and red, it's always whatever the two contrasts, right?
Mhm.
So you and I can say boss up. a lot of people can't do it. And this is the reason why I started studying counseling psychology a little bit deeper, because like, okay, initially I'm a coach, and what I found is I was working with people with real psychological trauma, and I wasn't trained to help them. So what, like, again, like I said, wait, another phone call. Hold on. Let me tell them, call them right back. What I'm seeing is a lot of people are dealing with unresolved issues from childhood. And since they haven't resolved these childhood issues, they what happened is the issues, since they weren't resolved, became a part of their personality when it wasn't
Mm.
supposed to. So Freud talks about this, right? And then you'll just say, oh, that's the way I am. No, it's not. Go back and heal your 6-year-old self. So I can give you an example. Long story short, my dad was in jail for 27 years. When he came home, I was 32. When he didn't do what I wanted him to do, I would have adult temper tantrums. But I had already been doing this, just not to this magnitude, right? And it wasn't until I began teaching a psychology course, and I had to prepare a lesson, and I'm reading through and I'm like, wait, that's me. I was still socially and emotionally a 6-year-old girl, even though I was 32 years old. How do I know that? I did the work. Was it easy? No. Was it easy? I think the reason why a lot of people can't admit it is because how they see themselves is different from how they behave. Right?
Mhm.
That goes back to the self again. How you identify with yourself and the reputation you have is different than how you see yourself. This is why you don't want to look in the mirror. This is why you don't want to be alone, because you say you don't drink, but you was drinking 2 weeks in a row. Like, you understand? Like, your behavior doesn't match up with what you're saying. I posted this today. Your actions and your words. So again, I would strongly encourage anyone who's watching this, if you're thinking about studying psychology to become a therapist, I strongly suggest it, because it not only helps others, but you're helping yourself, right? What is
Mhm.
it? Physician, heal yourself. If you know you need to go to therapy, reach out to a therapist who you feel comfortable with, like shop around. Don't just pick the first person you see, but I'm strongly suggesting therapy. So something else I'm doing is, because a lot of people are contacting me at this moment, and right now I'm in school and I have so many other endeavors, I actually turned the book into an online class, and it's a university called Change Yourself. And what I'm talking about is things that I'm learning in this doctorate program at Felician University. Shout out to Felician, where I'm
Okay.
teaching people brain techniques, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, when I'm telling you, okay, what you're focusing on is then becomes your behavior. And I'm teaching tactics to help people change their behavior and then improve their lives. So what has happened? I started doing a class last year during the pandemic. So far, I have 2 authors. I have a client who started her own business. I have a client who just got her own apartment. She was homeless for 2 or 3 years. I had been working with her. That was a lot of brain altering, because sometimes she used to curse me out. So let's even talk about that. What happens when you're the person that's helping and you get cursed out for
Yeah.
helping? So that's another humbling experience, because I had to learn, okay, this person is not mad at me. They're mad at what I'm saying. I represent something they don't want to hear. Don't take it personal. So that's another lesson. Don't take anything personal, even if the person is intentionally trying to hurt you. Oh, well.
And that's true. Like, first, for me, it's more about recognizing everything is perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it may be coming from me in a specific way, that doesn't mean that's how they're receiving it. And
Right.
everybody's got their own triggers and dynamite switches that I know nothing about. So I could be coming to you wholehearted, open handed, and like, hey, and it's like, bitch, what? Like, you
Right.
don't know what's going to flip that, so you can't take it personally. You got that's you. You need a minute. You you go handle that, and then we
Mm-hmm.
can get back to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
But, ooh, child, you just got me. Had me reminiscing for a second, like, damn, that was
No, listen. Let me tell you something. I think that I must fail at least every single day, making stupid decisions, stupid stuff that I know better about sometimes. And I'll be like, damn, all right, try it again tomorrow. All right, you
Mm-hmm.
got another day. All right, come on, come on, come on, keep going. Sometimes, like if I feel like I'm in the bed for too long, if I'm laying down, I gotta spruce myself up. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Even if
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody outside of me, it's always about being inwardly directed. So I have to go back to that. One of the things, the takeaway from this, inwardly directed. What are your insides telling you to do that you have not been paying attention to?
There's a woman that says, "Get in touch with your star player." I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And it's just the fact of the matter being, the least thing you need to fear is yourself. And for so many of us, that's the biggest fear, because we're so used to hiding, we're so used to using, not only just manipulating ourselves, but manipulating how other people perceive us to keep this facade going.
So that goes back to the painted mirage about this woman. She's a young lady and she's living a facade, but she
Mhm.
does not know she's living a facade until like her whole world comes crashing down. And it's like, wait, that was never true. That was never true. But I lived this. And a lot of us are living things that are not real. So, for example, so like I'll go off Instagram for forever and then I'll come back because to me,
Mhm.
like, it's just not that serious. And I get it for the promotion and marketing because I get a lot of my clients from there. But when I'm going through it, it's like you said, everybody looks the same. You're like, isn't that such and such? No, that's such and such. Everybody's body looks the same. Everyone's hair looks the same. Everyone's doing the same thing. Be different. Be yourself. And don't be afraid to tell people, no,
No.
that's not what I want. Let me tell you something. Today I was in a whole situation. It was social peer pressure. And they were like, oh, you need to do it. And I had my shades on. You need your stunning shades. If you need confidence, go buy some shades. And I had my shades on and I'm behind my shades. And I said, they got me fucked up. So I was like, oh no, that's not happening. But then I had to say it in a kind of like her tone.
Mhm.
Oh, you crazy. No, 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 no. I'm not crazy because when I was nice, you weren't getting it. But then when I
Right.
had to be like, nah, we're not doing that. I was like, okay. Like, don't be afraid to say no. Social peer pressure, you in that.
Yeah. That that's the autonomy I'm always talking about. Like, you own you. You have, as a being on this planet, you have full rights to yourself. We give so much of our rights away. We give so much of our power away, thinking that people are going to like us more. It's going to make this better. Fuck all that.
So let me say this because I was just having this conversation with a friend this weekend. Let's go back to the original story.
Oh no. Well, she'll be back. I know she'll be back. But let me tell you, if you have yet to see her book, A Farewell to Welfare, you can get it on Amazon, and she's back. So my commercial is over.
Sorry, I hit the button. Okay, look. And that's because what I'm about to say, somebody really needs to hear this, right? When you go back to the story of Adam and Eve, why did Eve eat the apple? She ate the apple because the snake, the serpent, told her there was something in the apple that God did not give her.
Mhm.
What we don't realize is we're looking, we're seeking, we're desiring stuff that's already inside of us. You can't find something that's external to you, right? So look, I think the enemy told her she was going to get wisdom and she was going to know good and bad. She already knew that. It was inside
Mhm.
of her, right? And because she didn't know it was inside of her, she went looking for it. Here's what I'm telling you. That's why we have these like the other night I could tell you this. I was somewhere far and I started to feel lonely. I started to feel like alone. And I heard, you're not alone. Nothing is missing. But I heard that. A lot of people don't take the time, like I said, the introspection to hear that. What you're looking for, you already have.
Mhm.
What you need is already inside of you. So for you to keep seeking, it's like you're gonna be on this roller coaster. Or if you following this person, then you gotta follow that person, then you're gonna click to it. It all starts within. So like Eve, stop looking for something external to you. It's already within you.
That's like every day. I rewrote a version of the Lord's Prayer, right? Because I was in a class, we broke it down to what each line meant, and was like, okay, so how do you rewrite it to make it personal to you? And one of my lines is, protect me from the illusion of lack as I continue to love. Because we'll get caught up in that illusion of what's not there when it's already there. So you start chasing the rabbit hole. It's like, that first hit of cocaine, you're like, this is amazing. And I'm always after that. And it's like, you never reach it again. And it's that same desire to chase when you've already got it. So I think we're building a society of chasing rather than sitting back and recognizing that I ain't got to do that shit.
But you have to think about it. If everybody was sitting back and everyone was conscious and everyone was introspective, then a lot of things that are existing now, and you know what I'm talking about, will be
Mm-hmm.
able to go on because people
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be thinkers. And you have to understand another thing that I find: everybody wants to be entertained. No
Yeah.
one wants to be educated. Education is boring. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to read that. I don't got time to read. I don't got time to do this. I don't got. But you look stupid and you're doing stupid things and you're making stupid decisions. And your friends are stupid.
Call it what it is.
So, if you gotta do this for you. If you have children, I definitely can say if I did not have children, my children don't play about me. They like, oh mommy, you effing up. Mommy, you used to be like this. Mommy, you used to do. They make me wanna be better because I see them and I think to myself, they have to be a million times better than me. But I have to
Mm-hmm.
set that foundation. I can't just be like, oh well, they father or somebody or the government or no. That's my responsibility. So again, it's all about being inwardly directed. It has to be something inside of you. It doesn't matter, like I said, if he called you back, if he didn't call you back, if you saw another girl, if you saw 8 girls. That happened to me, by the way, once. Point is,
We go.
you still got to keep it pushing.
And it's really that simple.
Right.
You can't be out here trying to be a battery for everybody else if you ain't got the battery in your own bag.
And I realized that the people who are, because I used to do this, when you're a battery for everyone else, it's because you're running from your own self. You don't want to fix yourself, so you're trying to fix other people. Pay attention to people who are always fixing others. There's something wrong with them that they don't want to see, which is why they're trying to fix everybody else.
Because we do have a tendency to give everyone else what we feel like we don't have. It's like, even taking a simple, back in the day, I was an event planner. It's like you want to give everybody these fabulous moments because it's like, well, I never had them myself, so let's make them so much more special for everybody else. And it's like, nah, like you have all of that, so you're trying so hard to pour into everybody else because, like you said, you're either running from it or you're afraid to acknowledge what's really there. And it's just, I mean, we're running around playing adults, but we're a bunch of little kids.
It's so no, not just little kids, broken children. And we're not just talking about emotionally. You and I could have this conversation forever. We could talk about in terms of society, economics, politically. So when you combine everything publicly with what people are experiencing privately, and then you got to keep up this facade, this is the reason why a lot of people are suffering from anxiety and depression because they're not being authentic to themselves and they don't even know what authenticity to themselves is.
That part. And that's a major part of why I do the work that I do, as far as even just holding space for someone. Like, I believe in creating, you know me, I'll be with the shits.
All day, every day.
I don't care. I am with the fuckery. But I also find that in me being that version of myself, it gravitates and allows people to say, okay, well, shit, I'm gonna take the mask off and be my damn self too. And folks get real comfortable.
And you know what I find a lot of time I meet people who will say to me, I never told this to anybody before, and I don't know why I'm telling you. When I say I get that all the time, strangers would tell me their business. And I have to know that there's a gift inside of me to heal. However, what I had to realize as of late is I'm not God. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
heal everybody, and it's not my job to heal everybody. So once I see I'm trying to help you and you don't want the help and you don't want to change,
Mm-hmm.
I got to keep it pushing because there's people who really need this help. So again, going back to what I was saying about the course that I'm teaching is an online course that I created from my book 5 years ago, and I'm finally getting it running. You know about that.
Mm-hmm.
This book is for people who are currently, your mind is all over the place. You got fuckboy syndrome going on. The kids are getting on your nerves. You want to do the hot girl summer. It's stuff that you want to do, but you feel stuck for some reason and you just need some assistance. So this is for student parents. If you're going to school, if you're in school, going to get your GED. I want people to get their GEDs. I don't care if you're 50.
Mm-hmm.
This is for creative people, people who want to write a book. You want to start you want to do something, but you just need the push. This is also for entrepreneurs, people who have a business. You want to start a business and you need to be around like-minded people where every week we're going to come together to share our successes, share our triumphs, and share information that can help you not just externally but internally. Like, I'm really giving people stuff to walk away with, so when they leave me they can say I did this as a result of working with Elease A. Wiggins. And I'm not trying to be cocky, but I don't have not one client who has not gone to produce more than what I did. Not one.
I mean, I'm gonna give you your kudos while you sitting here, ma'am, because I too have had moments where I've cried with you, where we've been there, we've had these conversations. So even though no, I have not taken the course, I have been in your presence. We have
Right,
had necessary
right.
conversations. I
The
know
course was created based on some of the stuff.
I can vouch for it.
Yes.
And you have a beautiful way of, I don't even know if I can't even say it's making people feel comfortable, because in the moment you are uncomfortable as hell, but you're like, you know what? Now is the time, and I need to say this. So I appreciate those moments. Even the fact you were one of the first people I really sat down with. It's like, yo, I have this idea for this project thing. This is what it's called. This is what I want to do.
And this is what we're doing now. Is
Yes, ma'am.
this project over a year later? And
Yes, ma'am.
I think it has a lot to do also with my transparency. I'm never like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. I get that a lot of times people see me as that, and I could understand that, right? But if you ever really had a conversation with me, you would know who Elease Wiggins really is, not just judge me based on a persona. And I would like to say that I know that I'm divinely sent. Like, it's my purpose to do
Mhm.
what I'm doing. And what I plan on doing from this point, I can't tell you because I just finished my first year in a doctorate program. So God only knows, what He has for me. But in this moment and in this season, I'm being obedient.
And sometimes that's the hardest part.
Listen, but I'm gonna tell you the hardest part about it, right? It is hard. But you know the beautiful part it when you see the blessing, because you have to understand anywhere where in the Bible it talks about a blessing, obedience precedes the blessing. So remember that. Obedience precedes the blessing. So I think I've been hurt so much that I don't want to be hurt anymore. And that's the reason why I'm obedient. Remember, I used to use the example, if you bang your head up against the wall long
Mhm.
enough, you're going to get to a point where you're going to start banging your head because it hurts.
Right.
So you could be obedient if somebody say, don't bang your head up against the wall again. You're like, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to do that. I got a lump from last time.
Mhm. That's like when little kids be like, the stove is hot, but you touch it anyway. That's
Right.
what I teach you. Sometimes you have to hit the wall. Sometimes you have to go through it to get to it. Like, you have,
Absolutely.
because all the theoretical talk is nice. Everybody warning you and telling you and protecting you is nice. We get that. Everybody likes being coddled. At some point, you got to test it for yourself.
Yes, that's so
And
true.
that's the moment when you're like, you know what? This ain't all I thought it was going to be.
And half the time it's not. And a lot of times people lie about their experience, and you want to try something thinking that, it's going to be the way their experience was, and their experience wasn't good. They just said that to make you feel away.
That's very true. Back to
Mm-hmm.
facades. That's my t-shirt for 2021, 2020. Fuckthefacade.com. Yes.
Facade.com. I love it. You always have such catchy phrases and slogans.
Because I've had to come to a point where almost giving a shit is like detrimental. You know what I mean? Like you really got to get like this is it. This is me. I'm gonna ride this roller coaster. I'm taking
Hmm.
my hands off the wheel, and what's gonna happen is coming through and it's coming out, and we're just gonna rock with
Yes,
it.
I
And
agree.
that's where I am. So gotta keep rolling with it. So
Yes, ma'am.
we are approaching our 1 hour. I usually only keep people hostage for 60 minutes because everybody has their.
Being as I'm holding my laptop in my hand.
Where are you at? It's lovely. She said, "Let me sneak in this hallway real quick."
Right. Good.
I'm not mad at you. I appreciate you for making the time.
No, you know what it is? I appreciate you for what you've done in the time that I've met you, and where you started and where you've grown to. And anything I can do to support you and support anybody who supports you, I'm 100% for it. I don't care what I'm doing, I stop.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna hold you to that because I got propositions. I got
I'm
thoughts.
ready.
But thank you so much. Um, Anything else that you want the people to know about you? How to get in contact with you?
All right.
Was build us up.
Last word, stay in love. And I don't mean with a person, I mean with yourself, I mean with God,
Mm.
I mean stay in the spirit of love, because love is so, a lot of times I want to get angry, I want to get mad, I want to be better,
Mm-hmm.
I have the right to. And I hear a voice that's constantly saying, stay in love. Because when you're in love, you make different type of decisions. Even though it
Yes.
might seem like you a simp, you're being blessed. So stay in love, and you can reach me at I'm Elease A Wiggins on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel, Elease Wiggins. So everything Elease A Wiggins, Elease A
Mm.
Wiggins, Elease A Wiggins, and God bless you all.
Thank you, love. I will be texting you, calling you, letting you know what's up because we
I'm
got
here.
stuff to do. And
Thank you
again,
so much again.
future Dr. Wiggins. I'm saying
Yay!
now, we're timing it now. Dr. Wiggins, I'm so very glad that you took the time out of your evening to chat.
Yes.
So thank you so much. And you'll be hearing from me soon. So love
All
you
right.
much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.